Mommy.
Yes.
Mommy.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of the word syphilis?
Syphilis?
Yes.
Is this the same thing as gonorrhea?
No. Syphilis is actually very different from gonorrhea. But then I have to discuss this because there are so many things one have to know about syphilis. Syphilis is a very, very important disease. It's a disease that has claimed the lives of so many people. So watch out as we break syphilis bit by bit, listing the whole symptoms and a way to go forward with syphilis. Syphilis is a sexually transmitted infection, meaning that it is mostly gotten through a sexual intercourse. But then this is not the only route that you can get this infection. For example, you can get syphilis from a mother to a child during pregnancy or during childbirth, resulting in something that we call the congenital syphilis. One thing you need to know about syphilis is that it is caused by a bacteria. So in case you're having doubts if syphilis is caused by a virus or a bacteria, I hope I've answered that. Another thing also that you need to know about syphilis is that it is very, very contagious, but then it is 100% curable if you treat it and then treat it properly with the right antibiotics. But then if you fail to treat this infection, the symptoms of this infection will go. That's the symptoms of syphilis will go. You would think they're already cured, but then it will cause you issues on the long run. These health issues can even result to death. One thing you need to know about syphilis is that it is a silent killer. When you have this bacteria in you and then you don't treat it, it can take close to 15 years, 10 years before you start noticing the dangerous health issue it has already caused for you. Now, the signs and symptoms of syphilis are grouped into 4 stages. The first one is the primary stage, the second one is the secondary stage, the third one is the latent stage, and then finally we have the tertiary stage. After these signs and symptoms, I will now tell you the complications syphilis can cause to your fertility. You see, this primary stage, it is a very contagious stage. It is a stage where the highest spread of this bacteria is known to be. In primary stage, it usually occurs 2 to 3 weeks after that person is infected, and then the symptom of this primary stage is so pronounced. That is why I said you should pay close attention so that you will note these signs and symptoms. So in primary stage, right, the point at which that man's genital organ comes in contact with someone that is infected usually has a skin lesion. Pay close attention. Any part of this man's genital organ that comes in contact with someone that is infected, be it male, be it female, anyone that is infected, that part will have a skin lesion. And then this skin lesion is not itchy, it is not painful, it is firm, and then it will progress to sort of a skin ulcer. It is not multiple. If it is the penis that comes in contact with a woman that is infected, that point at which that penis comes in contact with that woman will have this skin lesion. If it is the anus for gays that comes in contact with a man that is infected, the anus will have this skin lesion. The symptoms of secondary stage, right, are not that pronounced, but it is still something if you pay close attention to, you will still know it. If it's something that comes like 3 to 6 weeks after the initial infection, that's after you must have had this primary stage, the next one is the secondary stage. So it occurs 3 to 6 weeks after the point of contact. So in this secondary infection, it is still contagious, but it is not as contagious as the primary stage. In secondary stage, it usually involves the skin and then the mucous membrane or even the lymphatic system. So in this secondary stage, there is usually a wide spread of rash, but then this rash can occur in the hand, it can occur at the back, it can occur in the toe, anywhere. It can occur anywhere, and it is not itchy. This is something you need to know about this rash. It is not painful, it is not itchy. Note these 2 words: painless, non-itchy. So in case you have a rash and that rash is scratching you, please, it is not from syphilis. So if you have reached this secondary stage and you don't want to treat it, that's you've seen these whole symptoms and you still decide not to treat it, maybe you're still being skeptical about it, you will progress to the next stage, which is the latent stage. Now in the latent stage, it usually occurs 2 years after the initial infection. Now one thing about this latent phase is that in latent phase, all the symptoms goes. So you will not notice any symptom. This is the point that usually trick people, because you will think that you're completely healed. You will think that whatsoever that is wrong with you, that your immune system has cured it and that you're completely fine. But that's false. It is in the latent phase, meaning that you don't have the symptoms, but then if you go for test, you will see the bacteria there. So this is the part that really trick people. And remember, it occurs 2 years after the initial infection. If you still refuse to treat this syphilis, maybe as a result of ignorance, you don't know, you thought that your symptoms have already been cured, it will go to the most dangerous stage, which is the tertiary stage. Now in the tertiary stage, we see it's 3 to 15 years after the initial infection. This tertiary phase, this is the phase that people die, because it's mostly involved the central nervous system, that's your brain, and it can also involve your cardiovascular system, which is your heart. If it involves your brain, it can also form a sort of a tumor-like inflammation. One thing about this tertiary phase is that this bacteria would overwhelm your system. The bacterial multiplication is really too much, and then it really loves your brain. It will go to your brain and then cause you severe issues. It also loves your heart, that's your cardiovascular system, so it will still go there to cause you so many issues. That is why this stage can lead to death if not managed and managed properly. Now, if you've known all these signs and symptoms, I will now tell you the complications that can happen to you if you have syphilis. Now, this can occur in the primary stages, can occur in the secondary, this can occur in the latter, it can occur anywhere. Now, if you're a man and you have syphilis, there is high tendency these microorganisms can go to a very special organ in the male genital system called the epididymis. This epididymis is a tube located at the back of your testicle. This tube is responsible for transporting the sperm formed in this testicle to the vas deferens to now be ejaculated outward, right? So if in the process of this inflammation, because inflammation goes with healing, if in the process of this inflammation healing takes place, there is high tendency that scarring would occur. If scarring occurs, this tube can be blocked. And then if this tube is blocked, tell me how exactly can this sperm produced in the testicle move through this scarred tissue to the vas deferens? Now this will result to a low sperm count, because there are two testicles, right? So each of these testicles has a tube. So if one side is blocked, you rest assured that the other tube will still be working, leading to a low sperm count. This is why so many men out there, if they do a seminal test, you will find out that most of them have a low sperm count. It is usually seen as a result of infection by these microorganisms. So in case you're this individual that is always having syphilis, you treat it, you have it again, you treat it, please, I hope you've known that it affects your fertility rate. See, it can even go and destroy your sperm cell, making you impotent for life. So you need to be mindful of what you do with your health. Be very mindful. So finally, if you've noticed this first stage that I explained, please just go to the nearest health center and then treat yourself, because if it's progressed to the tertiary stage, see, it can cause you severe tissue damage that even if they start to revive you, the damage is already done, and I don't think you would want that into yourself. So if you've noticed this first stage, that's the primary stage, or maybe you were ignorant about the primary stage, but then you were able to still notice the secondary stage that I mentioned, please just go to the clinic to receive the appropriate treatment. See, it is not all antibiotics that can cure you of this. It is the right antibiotic. That is why I said at the initial video that you need to treat it and then treat it properly. So with all that being said, I hope you learned something about syphilis. Thank you so much. If you made it to the end of my video, please don't forget to like, don't forget to share, and then finally you don't forget to follow. I do offer free medical advice, so in case you have anything that is bothering you, it has to be medical. My DM is open for you, the comment section is open for you. But then if you decide to come to my DM, you have a rule. You have to share my post, because if you share my post, you're also helping me as well as I'm helping you. When you share my post, it gets to so many people out there, and it will help me to grow as well as I am helping you for free. So thank you so much.